I have my stake in the ground and I take control of my destiny and future. I am not in a rudderless craft. I am heading to achieve my financial goals. My financial goals are high. The expectations of myself are high. And the acceptability of bullshit is low. This is what it's all about. It's about these core fundamental principles, mastering them and building on them. If you don't have a good foundation, even your outdoor house will fall. And I'm trying to build a skyscraper.
All right, what's going on? Aaron here, back once again from the Remote Closing Academy podcast. And you might be a little bit confused if you've been listening to this podcast for quite some time, because the video or the voice, if you're listening to the podcast, of those clips that you just listened to, if they sound familiar, they are, because what you guys are going to be listening to today is a replay of episode number 1. And the reason I'm doing this, guys, is because, we have like 6 or 7 people in the pipeline to get basically recorded for these episodes, but I wanted to go back because this is one of the episodes that I get mentioned a ton in. Like, people leave comments on this episode, people talk to me about it in, our private groups. I get DMs of people just saying like, this episode literally changed the trajectory of my life. So I was like, you know what? I don't think a lot of people really like listen to this episode because it was literally the first one we put out there, and I wanted to share it to all of you guys that are some of the newer listeners. So you're going to be listening to a replay. We'll be hitting it strong next week with a brand new episode with actually a surprise guest that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But make sure for this one, make sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the podcast, and how's the day so far?
Yeah, I got to tell you, today's excellent. Make connections, making moves. I feel like $1 million, and if it kind of sounds cheesy, but it's like that top of the world feeling.
Good, man. Yeah, I'm stoked to kind of dive into like your story and kind of where you come from and stuff. So let's, with that being said, let's just kind of jump into it. I always like to rewind the clocks when I, talk to people like this and really just get a more of like your background, even like before you got into sales. Cause obviously we're going to talk a lot about the sales side and the program and how you jumped in and things like that. But let's just rewind the clocks. Like, before you even got into sales, like what were you doing before all that?
Before all that, well, the very nit and gritty was I grew up really poor, like a lot of the nation today. On paper, I should not be where I'm at. But I hate to sound, cocky, but because of me, I was able to really take the bull by the horns, that bull called life that wants to throw you and inevitably into the abyss. I was able to really grab a hold of that and direct it to the goals that I wanted to achieve. So my background, really poor. Did a lot of manual labor for a lot of years. Actually a plumber. And then I figured that there was a different way for me and my lifestyle. There was an actual turning point in my life where I went from grinding daily, carrying cast iron pipes, soldering joints, burning my arms and hands. And I turned, when we started adopting children, my wife and I made the decision that, we had a big house, our children were getting older, they were moving out, our biological children. That we wanted to like make a difference in the community. So we became foster parents. And it was really, my intention wasn't to change the world. My intention as a foster parent was to light a spark, to show a child that there is a home in this country, that the entire family meets at 5:00 and has dinner and discusses their day and helps them, with whatever challenges, whether it be academic or social and emotional issues that they're having for the day. So it was just that spark. I absolutely fell in love with it. We started to adopt. We didn't want babies. Babies kind of suck. They stay up all night. They're really cute.
I have three under 3 right now. So I definitely, I feel that.
Yeah. And we started off with a sibling group, 3 little boys. And I have an adoption from, I think maybe 8 years ago. I adopted a little boy, and started off with a sibling group of 3. and great little boys. They all absolutely imperfectly perfect. Just, good good challenges, like a
Yeah.
challenge that you want to have as a parent, elected to have as a parent. Then inevitably there was another baby. And then about a year later, there was another baby. And that first baby that I held in my arms was the moment, was the holding her through withdrawal and holding her through the struggles that she was going through, the addictions. I changed my life. I said, I'm not going to work as a plumber. I'm not leaving my family. I'm not going to do this anymore. There has to be I was drinking beer every night, I would just try to cope with the muscle aches and, just the stress of the job. And, you know, not all the people, but some of the people were difficult to work with. So I decided right then and there that this was the time in my life that I was going to make a change. And that's when I've always done sales kind of part-time with the plumbing, jewelry stores, plumbing parts and materials. And I got into sales, and I got into outside sales. So I started selling roofs, started selling gutters, for a big company around here. Very good, very, very good big company. Great owner, great staff, just a real nice tight community. There's a lot of driving. There's a lot out of the house. There's a lot of, being away from the family, which wasn't my intention. My intention was, hey, I want to be closer to my family. But having such a big family, you are beholden to this responsibility of providing for that family. You got to provide for yourself, because if you can't afford to put a suit on your back, if you can't afford to put shoes on your feet, you can't afford to provide for anybody. You have to be able to take care of yourself. So I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to figure this out? I said to myself, let's explore this. Let's see what the best options are. Started, like everybody else, do a little bit of Google search, watch a whole bunch of videos on YouTube, ran across quite a few influencers. Something about Cole really resonated with me. Like he spoke the truth. And as I hate to keep bringing it up like a record on repeat, but as a parent, when someone's lying. When someone's your bullshit detectors are up, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was like this approach. And I started, I'm not the guy to do this. I am not the guy to click the yes button. Here's my credit card, put me on the system. You know what I mean? For some jackwagon on the internet. It's not me. You know what I mean? But there was something there. There was an underlying of truth that's undeniable. I started implementing right away. I dove right in. I gave an inhuman amount of effort. Watched, hours of the training process. Tried to didn't just watch it, rewound it, watch it again, understood it. Is this really what it is? Started to understand that there's a philosophy, that there's a system, there's a method to this madness that's called sales. Started to put all that together, started implementing it in my day-to-day, instantly saw a revenue increase in just my day-to-day outside sales gig. Was able to land in just a few short weeks. I know this isn't really, it doesn't really apply to everybody. Okay. But I saw the beauty of this course be able to take you from an actual dud to a bona fide stud. You know what I mean? Like you were able to go from a zero, really cheesy line, go from a zero to a hero. You know what I mean? But we were able to do that. We were able to get you to where you want to be. And in my case, I was able to land a very good gig at a very reputable company with absolutely stellar bosses and they compensate me very well for being an A-class salesman.
Dude, you literally gave me so much more, like you basically answered my first 5 questions just right off the bat. So, dude, I love that story. And I do want to take a little bit of a step back though, because there's a couple things that you mentioned that I think a lot of people would take some, take some notes on. Like when you made that transition from, let's say like I wouldn't say 9 to 5, but doing more like the outside sales stuff into like the remote closing side of things. I'm sure a lot of people are, I know when I was making the transition from 9 to 5 into, something that was a little bit more remote, more commission based, like there was a lot of fear there. Right. So like how, obviously the family is a huge motivator. It was the same thing for me, right? I know that I had, 2 kids on the way, and it was like, there's no choice. It's like, I put in the work and provide for my family, and that's it, right? There wasn't another side. So, what was that outside of the family stuff? Like, what do you think were some of those motivators or things that kind of kept you on the ball to make sure that like you made your success inevitable?
So for me, and I got to agree with you 100% that you and I are in an airplane. Okay. We're 15,000 feet. Okay. The doors open up. I'm in a perfectly freaking good airplane, brother. I'm on my back is no parachute, but there's a real serious ground on the other side. And I jumped and I created my parachute as I went down. I brought all this together. As scary as leaving my 9 to 5 to go into the RCA program and go 100% full remote, still jumping out of that perfectly good airplane, still, scared to death, scared catting all the way down. Yeah. You know what I mean? And believing in myself, believing in the system, believing in the process helped me get past that, to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And really, you don't stop freaking out until you're securely planted in a gig. So you're always freaking out. But that's the same as when I left the very first plumbing company that I worked for to go work for the second plumbing company that I worked for 16 years. You know what I mean? It was that still kind of scared cat. Hey, this is a different colored truck. Oh my God, new area. You know what I mean? Like the same feeling. It's the same feeling as if your business shuts down, if your company shuts down, if your job just goes away, you break a leg and all of a sudden your job as a line dancer, you don't have it no more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, it's like, it's kind of one of these things that can happen, will happen. But what I wanted to do, my goal was to build a more lucrative and more flexible and liquid space in any industry. Sales just happens to be my thing. I like sales. I feel comfortable around it. It takes a certain individual to be able to do that. It's not made for everybody. It's not tailor-made for everybody. You have to be adventurous. But I saw where we were trending, where we were going viral, where the market is leaning. Was I the quickest one to jump on? No. Was I the last one to jump on? Definitely not. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of right here in the middle in the mix with everybody. And we are, as consumers, buying more online. We are more comfortable today than any other time in the history of this planet, buying things without actually tangibly being able to touch them. We want to have experiences over anything. So if I'm able to, reach out and bridge that gap from what that customer wants to my product, which is what the customer needs, okay, and is going to complete that. My job is to make those connections. My job is to bridge that gap. Very simple job. When you lay it out like that, definitely need high quality educators to get you to be proficient at it. And you need to be able to, pick your gurus. Not saying Cole's a guru. I mean, he does got the beard, but
yeah, that's one of the prerequisites, right? Having a beard.
I think so.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things because, like, you know, obviously we talked about a lot about the story but you did mention a couple of things about, like, you know, even the, you know, bridging that gap, right? Like a lot of within the training, I can hear a lot of what you're saying, like just some overlap between, like, you know, you know, Cole talks a lot about like Heaven Island versus Hell Island, like where do we create that gap between those two things? So, you know, talking a little bit about some of the training stuff that you've gone through, and you were talking about how, you know, you were able to even incorporate some of the training into the, you know, the sales job you were doing before. What were some of your, like, maybe like either favorite parts of the training or like biggest takeaways that you think that someone that is a salesperson right now could really benefit from? Like any major takeaways that you can remember specifically?
Absolutely. 100%. Number one is when I came in here, he was like, script, but no script. I was like, what is this guy talking about? What is he talking about? My favorite movie was scripted. My favorite television show was scripted. Every book, obviously, scripted. Okay. Everything that ever got a reaction from me besides like organically, but anything that I watched in media or whatever was all, you know, scripted. And what Cole really helped, like this epiphany moment, is that his epiphany? The moment of epiphany, yeah. So the epiphany, right, was Cole explaining it to the point where it clicked in my head that this is a philosophy. This is greater than any script. This is the tools internally way beyond what any smoke and mirrors or any shiny object is going to get you. This is the brass tacks. This is what it's all about. It's about these core fundamental principles, mastering them and building on them. If you don't have a good foundation, even your outdoor shit house will fall. And I'm trying to build a skyscraper.
Love it, man. That's super impactful, because it's not, you know, I think a lot of people try to focus a lot on, like, you know, what are these like massive like game changer things, and even though, you know, it has changed the game for you, it's not anything that's like crazy profound, right? It's just like focus on the simple stuff that you know that you need to anyway, but become a master at that craft, even if it's, you know, just the simple things. You know, I think we've talked a lot about, like, you know, what are some of the good things, but like, what were maybe some of the, if you ran into any, maybe like bottlenecks within like either jumping into the program or like any difficult parts that you found where you're just like, man, like what's happening here, right? Like any bottlenecks that hit that you might even, you know, someone that's coming through the program might even like hit as well. Like anything that you can think of?
To be honest, it's so eloquently laid out. It is dummy proof. The biggest bottleneck for me was allocating time. So I did this between the hours of 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 when the kids went to bed, till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Then I went to sleep and I woke up at 6 and, you know, had my daily walk, my cup of coffee, and went on, did my thing. And I allocated that time that way. And I think that because I'm not too much of a night owl, that was probably like the biggest hurdle. But it's more than just logging on to Kajabi and going through some text and some Google Docs and then, you know, hey, let me watch this video where every single last one of them, hey, it's Cole here, you know, like, hey, it's Cole here is echoing in my head. Okay. But it's way more than that. I know this is going to sound cheesy, man, but it's a freaking family. It's not a community. Corey is amazing. He's a young guy. And I look at him like he's not even one of my peers, bro. He's like one of my kids. You know what I mean? But he has this knowledge that's just beyond his years. You know what I mean? And when he went to Ascension and came back, it was like a different Corey. It was like a Corey that's floating 2 inches above the ground and glowing. You know what I mean? It was like questions, like real high level questions, getting into the nitty gritty, breaking down sales calls. Really, so the program helps you understand and define your problem areas. The community helps you fine tune and polish your presentation. Handling objections before they even come across, building those action levels, building that confidence, that trust, and security. Because as Cole said, we're in the post-trust era. You know what I mean? Like, nobody trusts anybody. It's now more necessary than ever to have that support and to have that education. You basically got a PhD in making shit happen.
That's we go.
The best way I could put it.
Yeah, man. I think like it's really cool because I've been a part of like so many like programs in the past, whether it was like for my own, like, you know, whether it was a coach, right? It's a funny story. I used to I've known Corey for years, and I was actually his coach in one of the first programs. Like, that's when I met him. I was a success coach in this old programs. But, you know, to make that point is, you know, I think there's a lot of people that like to say like, oh yeah, like welcome to the family, or like we're building a community or a family. But it's a completely other thing to like have the infrastructure in place and like the people and the ones that are there to actually build it out as a family, you know? Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, you coming through RCA and you know, you get landed in the gig. Obviously we don't have to go into like specifics, you know, specifically of the company or whatnot, but like what was your experience of coming to the program, you know, finding that gig? Like how did all that kind of come to fruition?
Okay. Yeah. I obviously can't go into too much. I have an NDA, you know what I mean? But that process was scary fast. It was comforting and scary fast at the same time. I don't know how else I could put it, but two oxymorons come crashing together. Scary fast, super comforting. Hey, I'm actually going to make something of this. Damn, am I going to make something of this? And they just collide. You know what I mean? It's like the Hadron Collider at CERN, right? So like we're just smashing some shit together at really high speeds. If you want to take the time to slowly go through the course, take the time, slowly go through the course, that's where you're at. If you want to put in the crazy amount of effort to really drive those growths quickly and efficiently, then do that. That's you. There's plenty of people on the side of this training that are kind of spontaneous. They just know in the back of their head what it is, what they're going to do. They run like that. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I believe that success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. Okay, we've all heard that. It's written on my wall. You know what I mean? So above my desk is 1,000 notes, is rebuttals, scripts, tools I could pull out of my pocket, generalizations of, okay, so if we're going down this road, get them back on track, get this going this way, ask these questions to get them back on track. This Socratic method it takes spin selling to a whole nother level. Okay. It really does. It really does. Did I kind of lose track of the initial question? Like, I feel like there's a part of it that I'm missing.
No. I was just, you know, wondering like, overall, like, because we can't talk too much about the specific opportunity, but, you know, just how quickly everything came to fruition from like just jumping in. Because, I mean, how long was it like a month from the time you came in until like getting that job? Cause I remember, I think it was looking, it was like May 6th. Yeah. May 16th or something. You made like your intro video in the group. And then it was like a couple days ago, it was just like, hey, got placed, talking to my new, to the new gig. So,
I didn't even post that timely. I waited a couple days.
Oh, really?
Just to make sure they didn't back out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's safe to say you got the gig. So
yeah, no, I got the gig, and I got to tell you, it's a really good company. It's a really good business. The owners they're, how to say this without sounding weird, but they're guys that you can actually have a glass of Budweiser with. You could have a beer with these guys. Like, they're genuine dudes. They're not above anybody. You know what I mean? They're approachable. You could talk to them. They're not cocky. They're just like you and I. And they have a great product that has to get out to market. My job is bridging that product. You know what I mean? The product is a course. Okay. So we sell a course. The greatest part about this is I was actually able to land with a company that has a course, it has a product that not only is it marketable, but it's 100% honest. It 100% works. There's no smoke and mirrors. There's no shiny object that you have to grab onto or like that's levitating you towards this one thing. No. It's brass tacks. Do this consistently. Bang. You're on. And it's also in the field that I like. We're talking about business. You know what I mean? This might turn some people off, but I'm a libertarian. Okay. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I believe that if you want to make change, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it for yourself. Okay. So with that, I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. I own my business. I have my stake in the ground, and I take control of my destiny and future. I am not in a rudderless craft. I am heading to achieve my financial goals. My financial goals are high. The expectations of myself are high. And the acceptability of bullshit is low. Okay. But I've been the first one to bag and move on to the next one. I think Biggie Smalls said, "Reckon buy a new one." You know what I mean? So that's what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. No, there's one thing that you even said in there that I want to get a little bit more from you on is like, or maybe even not, just making the point, because I think it's super important, is I think a lot of people have, like, when we're talking about like remote closing, right, or remote sales or high ticket sales, I think just the word sales just automatically gets like that negative, like, used car salesman like vibe, right? It's like anytime someone hears sales, they're like, no, like I don't want to hear anything about that. But when you're talking about like, the thing that you're able to sell, right, and the course to help people not only like implement and but take action on, but also like see real results and make like actual impact within their lives, right? And that's like, to me, in the remote sales world, it becomes not even a job at that point, right? It's just like all you're doing is helping people, and you're helping people as a byproduct. They're making more money, you're making more money, and it's like it's all a perfect song and dance to to really make it, easy for you to wake up, right? You're not going to a job that you hate every single day,
Everything, don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But I think it's good to put this point in here, is that everything you have done since you were able to talk has been selling. It's like this taboo concept that I just don't understand. Is my beard gray? It bothers me because I'm old. You know what I mean? But you know what? I'm still good. I grow this gray beard in honor and in tribute to all my friends that died and were never able to grow a gray beard. You know what I mean? I got my hair dread. You're gonna say that's a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, dread. Oh boy, I'm in sales, man. I'm a salesman. This is my profession. This is my craft. You know what I mean? If you don't like sales for any taboo reason, for whatever it is, then it's not for you. That's it. That's what it is, man. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly do sales. Well, what the heck do you think you're doing behind the counter at TJ Maxx? You're peddling their wear. Here at RCA, I'm peddling me. No matter what product I'm selling, I am selling myself, my skill set, my ability, my wisdom, my intelligence, my past history, my experience, my training, every dollar I put into me. That's what I'm selling. Why am I selling me? To support my lifestyle. I couldn't think of the money going to a better place than me.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
We can literally drop it, mic drop on that one, dude. I have literally agree with every single one of those points. It's you know, if you don't want to get into sales, like, then don't. Save the commission for the rest of us. So last two questions, man. Like, so what would you, and this is a question that I think, you know, we'll try to ask on at every podcast, but like, what would you say to someone that, let's say they have gone through that, you know, they've seen Cole a couple times, they keep getting smacked with our ads, right? Like, what would you say to someone that is on the fence of jumping in? Maybe they're just like, you know, I don't know if I should trust another guru, or is this going to work? Or like, what would you say to that person to make them, not convince them, but to let them know that it's going to be the best choice for them?
Okay. One, what decisions have you been making in the past that got you in the position that you are in today? Are you happy in the position that you are in today? If you're happy in the position that you are in, then don't take a single stroke forward. Do not take a single step. Stay where you are. If you feel like there is something better, something greater out there, and this is what resonates inside you, don't be weenie. Don't be hesitant. Don't be the one guy on the cliff overlooking the crystal blue waters who refuses to jump in because you don't know what's underneath the glare. Okay? 2, probably if your revenue is not at the dollar amount, not where it needs to be, and you are struggling, and you're really living paycheck to paycheck, and you can't afford to put shoes on your own feet, you know, you really need to take a hard look at what you did to get there, and what you're going to do to get out. And if you're looking at other people, stop it. Stop looking at other people. Stop looking at what they got. I believe that jealousy is actually kind of a good thing. You know what I mean? Because that guy in the shiny red Porsche down the street, or my buddy with the black Lamborghini, you know, I want one of those. I don't fit in them. I'm 6'3", you know, I'm 230 pounds, you know what I mean? But I don't fit in them, but I still want one, you know what I mean? But how am I going to get it? I'm going to make a better me. I'm going to make a more profitable. I'm going to make a more sellable. I'm going to make a more tangible me. If you're on that ledge of you know, living paycheck to paycheck, you can't put a down payment on a hot dog. That's not going to change. The 1% make decisions like the 1%. I think that this is probably the most underappreciated aspect of the whole thing. There's a reason why they're 1%, is because they make decisions that only 1% of us make. The other 99% of us rinse, wash, repeat the same failing structure, the same failing principles that we've been implementing our entire lives. If you want to be make the 99% choice, make the clear, easy, you know, tangible choice. But life isn't going to just present itself. Life is going to beat your ass, man. As Sisyphus, he was condemned to a lifetime of rolling a giant boulder up a hill. Struggle. His mindset is what's changed the script up. He said, I'm going to make rolling this ball up the hill my thing. I'm going to find a way back down this hill faster than the last time I did it. I'm going to work different muscle groups. I'm going to have the body of Olympus. So when the gods came back to look at Sisyphus, they were expecting to see a miserable, beat-up old man. What they found was a lively, muscular, just specimen rolling this damn ball up the hill with a smile on his face. So, yeah, grab life by the goddamn horns, man. Are you going to be the dude that's going to sit back and be like, oh, how come I got, I got a 3-figure bank account. It means I got $101.01. Or are you going to be the dude that looks at that and goes, I got $101.01. How do I turn this into $1 million? It's about your perspective. It's hard to get jaded in RCA. It's hard to get off your balance in RCA. When I first signed up, I got an email. Hey, man, know you're scared. I'm not scared. Hey, man, it could get challenging. Never got challenged. You know what I mean? I challenged myself. You know what I mean? I was like, how fast am I going to make this happen? But to know that you have that community out there and you can see where other people might get a little wiggly. But when you're driving that vehicle fast and you hit those corners hard, you're going to get wiggly. This gives you the experience to correct. This gives you the experience to keep yourselves pretty side up on the track. Too many analogies? Was I good?
Dude, no, so good. We get like, I mean, I know I said it a second ago, but we can just drop it there. Like that was like so many different things, and it's analogies that for me, like when I first jumped into even my first program, like I put I'll never forget Brian. Actually, it's so funny how much overlap there is between some of us. But Brian in 2016. 2017, sold me into one of, he owned a program before, and I trusted the dude with literally the last money in my bank account. Like I'll never forget, it was the day before Thanksgiving of 2016, and I told myself this is the 6th, maybe it was the 22nd or something, and I needed to make money before the first of the next month because of rent basically. And it was literally putting the trust into him and knowing that he had my best interest in mind and making the leap. So he used a lot of analogies too. So that's ultimately what got me in. But dude, like I said, I wanted to say just overall, I appreciate you jumping on here. I think a lot of the stuff that we talked about will be able to help out a ton of people as they listen to the podcast, as they watch the YouTube video. Before we end it though, any just last parting words just overall?
Through this growth, through this development, I realized that, you're not in it by yourself. I cannot emphasize enough how much the community inside RCA helps you stay on track. It really holds you to the task. I don't think that I would have, when I post something on Facebook, like, hey man, had my first thing inside the private group. When I post inside the private group, I don't have one post that has one like. I don't have one post that was ghosted. You know what I mean? There's 50, 60, 80 people. Thumbs up. Way to go. Hey, a lot of connections. I FaceTime and talk to more people than you could shake a stick at. Connections that I've made online that are real tangible people. Your coaches, I don't know where you pull this pool from, but it's some talent. It's some talent. And Aaron, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you jumping on. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast, whether it's on the podcast app, we're growing it there, also on the YouTube channel. So if you got any value out of this episode at all, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and drop a comment saying thanks to Jacob here, because he dropped a lot of fire and knowledge for you guys in order to take into your endeavors, whether it is here within RCA or not. So down in the description, we'll have a bunch of other links that will lead to learning more about the, Remote Closing Academy. Again, it's usually just a video that you watch, and if you just watch the video, cool, and you'll learn some information there, but you will have an option to talk to us a little bit more about what it would be like to work with us. And you heard it here directly from Jacob. He's had a pretty decent experience, if I do say so myself. So that's going to do it for the first episode of the RCA podcast. Of course, subscribe everywhere that you hear podcasts, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk soon. Peace.